I love how Hammond is so polite and proper sounding when he asks Muldoon to go rescue his grandchildren.
Robert, I wonder if perhaps you would be good enough to take a guest jeep and bring back my grandchildren.
Granted, he probably doesn't know the extent of the danger they're currently in, but it's still cute. Meanwhile, Nedry has gotten lost on the way out, and now his jeep is stuck. He is so screwed. Even if not for the dinosaurs running around, he could still die out there. Hope it's worth it, idiot.
My glasses! I can afford more glasses!
I seriously say that whenever I misplace my glasses.
Oh, nice boy.
I see Dilophosaurus has finally decided to show up. Better late than never.
What do you want? What do you want? You want food? Look at me. I just fell down a hill. I'm soaking wet. I don't have any food.
It's not a dog, you dumbass. It doesn't want you to give it food. You are the food. Yes, even Jurassic Park is not immune from fat people falling down being played for laughs. Oh well, it's Jurassic Park, it gets a pass. And Nedry is a dick anyway, so mock away. Yeah, I don't know how Dilophosaurus got in there, especially since it appears that the door was closed behind it. Oh well, Nedry was clearly too stupid to live, so he would have bought it some other way. Ironic, since he's apparently some kind of computer genius. I guess this is proof that there is a big difference between book smart and street smart. Really, I think that goes for Lex as well, to a lesser extent. She's still a kid though, so at least she has that excuse. Well, Tim is still stuck in the Jeep, Witch is stuck in a tree, and he's scratched up but otherwise okay.
Oh no.
Despite a string of close calls, Dr. Grant gets Tim out of the tree.
Well, we're back in the car again.
Muldoon and Ellie go looking for everyone. Instead, they find that one of the Jeeps is missing, and there are pieces of lawyer everywhere.
I think this was Gennaro.
I think this was too.
Dr. Malcolm is not doing too great, but he's alive.
Remind me to thank John for a lovely weekend.
But here comes that rumbling noise again. Which leads to... the best car chase ever! I think Muldoon got some enjoyment out of that.
Think they'll have that on the tour?
I think that was T-Rexes for, God damn it. Meanwhile, Dr. Grant has taken the kids up into another tree for the night where they get a nice view of some brachiosaurs.
Shh, don't let the monsters come over here.
They're not monsters, Lex. They're just animals, and these are herbivores.
Back in the building, can we all just take a second to appreciate how much detail was put into this room? That is beautiful. There's a great character-defining moment here where Hammond tells a story about how his first attraction was a flea circus, and how people watching it could swear they saw the fleas even though it was fake.
This place, I wanted to show them something that wasn't an illusion. A name not devoid of merit.
He admits to making mistakes, but he thinks the park is fixable. But Ellie sets him straight.
It's all an illusion.
When we have control again.
You never had control. That's the illusion. But I made a mistake too. I didn't have enough respect for that power, and it's out now. It's good.
At no expense.
Well, that's a rude awakening.
Go away!
Just think of it as kind of a big cow.
Poor Lex. They finally convince her that not all dinosaurs are bad, and... that kid is gonna need so much therapy.
God bless you!
Shortly after, Dr. Grant finds dinosaur eggs, which obviously were not supposed to be there. He explains that West African bullfrogs can change sex in a single-sex environment, and so that trait must have been passed on to the dinosaurs. I have no idea if that's accurate. I've found places all over the internet that say, yep, that totally happens, but none of them explain how or when. Assuming it's not just a widely believed myth, I'm going to assume it happens during the embryonic stage, because that's the only point where it seems believable.
Life found a way.
Meanwhile, Hammond decides that the best thing to do is basically reboot the entire system because that's the only way to undo all the damage that Nedry did.
Hold on to your butt.
Fortunately, it works, except that the circuit breakers need to be turned back on and such.
Tim, can you tell me what they are?
Later that morning, Dr. Grant and the kids are making their way back, and as a dino geek, there's something here that bothers me a bit.
Gallimimus.
First of all, I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Gallimimus, since the second part is the Latin word for mimic. Also, Gallimimus belongs to a bigger group called Ornithomimus, and especially from that distance, it could be just about any of them, like Struthiomimus, for example. Just saying. Although I get that they wanted to merchandise this movie and wanted the audience to learn the names of specific dinosaurs. Nah, whatever.
The wheeling, the uniform, direction changes, just like a flock of birds evading a predator.
Yeah, that should tell you something. Oh, T-Rex, I missed you.
I bet you never look at birds the same way again.
Dr. Grant is a bit twisted. Now the rest of them are in an underground bunker, and
Sorry.
I like how Hammond accidentally puts the map on Dr. Malcolm's leg. One of those little subtle things I missed the first couple times. So now Muldoon and Ellie have gone to turn the breakers back on. Muldoon realizes that raptors are nearby and hunting them, and he has Ellie make a break for it. She makes it, and Hammond gives her directions on how to reactivate the breakers. Meanwhile, Dr. Grant and the kids come across a normally electrified fence. He is a bit twisted.
That's not funny. That was great.
They hear the T-Rex coming, so they quickly start climbing. They almost make it off before Ellie is done turning on the breakers. Fortunately, it'll take a while for everything to come back on. Unfortunately, Tim is still at the top.
Okay. I'm gonna count to 3. 1, 2.
Whoops.
I think we're back in business.
I think that's the first time we get a clear view of a raptor in this movie. Ellie gets away, but she hurts her leg and finds Samuel L. Jackson's severed arm in the process. Meanwhile, Muldoon has found his target, but remember what Dr. Grant said to that kid in the beginning?
That's when the attack comes, not from the front, but from the side. From the other two raptors, you didn't even know were there.
Clever girl.
You'd think if anything Muldoon would know more than Dr. Grant on how to deal with raptors, but he's going by experience. Maybe they just never had to try that on him before. Also, remember this?
The point is, you are alive when they start to eat you.
Yeah, it doesn't end well for poor Muldoon.
3.
Dr. Grant manages to revive Tim, and they make it to the visitor center. He leaves them there so he can go and try to find everyone else.
Run.
And he does find Ellie. Aww. Back in the visitor center, Tim and Lex take advantage of the food that was left out, and the Jell-O gives away what Lex is seeing. As does that conveniently placed shadow on the wall. Tim and Lex hide in the kitchen while Dr. Grant levels up from badass to fucking badass.
It's just the two raptors, right? You sure the third one's contained?
Yes. Unless they figured out how to open doors.
Timmy, what is it? It's a velociraptor.
Or it could be Deinonychus or... sorry. I love how these two are apparently communicating. There's food in there somewhere. Help me find it. I'm here. Preferably without stepping on my foot. Sorry. Goddamn. Lex nails one raptor in a way that's pretty clever, though I think it was just dumb luck that the raptor mistaken her reflection for the real thing. Tim lures the other into a meat locker, and Lex locks the door behind it. I know I shouldn't, but I kind of feel bad for that raptor. But as they're leaving, the first one has regained its senses and sees them. Tim and Lex are reunited with Dr. Grant and Ellie, and they make their way to the control room. The door locks, but Ellie has to reboot the system first.
You can't hold it by yourself!
You know what? I could nitpick this movie. I know it's not scientifically accurate, but that stuff doesn't bother me. There is just one part in this movie where even on my very first viewing in the theater, I went, no. And that is...
It's a unit system. I know this.
Lex the Child Hacker. Give me a freaking break. Yes, I find the cloning of dinosaurs more believable than the Child Hacker. Does that make sense? Maybe not, but in my defense, I don't know squat about genetics, but I know enough about computers to know that this scene is ridiculous. But again, oh well, Jurassic Park.
Grant,
Mr. Hammond, the phones are working.
children all right?
The children are fine. Call the mainland. Tell them to send the damn helicopters.
Have I mentioned that I love Sam Neill? He says these lines with so much understated rage that it is just awesome. It's like, I hate you right now, but if you get that helicopter, maybe I won't blow your head off with this shotgun. The raptor gets in and the chase is on again. I love how he watches the ladder fall, like, what do you need that for? Dr. Grant just kicked a raptor in the face. I think he just leveled up from fucking badass to goddamn fucking badass. And that bit made me nearly jump out of my chair the first time I saw this. I was able to avoid it for the rest of the movie, but that damn raptor got me. And there's that third raptor that they forgot about. She's watching you. And there's the raptor from before. You're screwed. T-Rex to the rescue. Got her in mid-jump. That poor raptor didn't even know it hit her. Holy shit, how bold are the raptors if they'll pounce on a T-Rex like that?
After careful consideration, I've decided not to endorse your park.
So have I.
She didn't want to eat the raptor, she just wanted to prove a point. I just realized that their visit to the park starts with a shot of the logo on the door of the Jeep, and ends with another one covered in mud. Nice subtle way to show that their visit has been ruined. This is kind of heartbreaking. Hammond takes one last look at his beloved Jurassic Park before abandoning it forever. Apparently an earlier version of the script had him deciding to stay. Dr. Grant is like, okay, maybe some kids are okay. Before this movie, I never noticed how much pelicans can look like pterodactyls. Maybe Dr. Grant didn't either. Bet I'll never look at birds the same way again. The end. So that was Jurassic Park. I can barely even put into words how much love I have for this movie. Yes, it's got dinosaurs and they're awesome, but it's like, come for the dinosaurs and stay for the rest. The characters in this movie are just so damn likable. I want to say that my favorite is Dr. Grant, if only because I love Sam Neill, but Sir Richard Attenborough is amazing as John Hammond. He is just so quirky and adorable. The story works well. There's clearly a lesson here about how playing God can have disastrous consequences. There isn't a high body count or anything, but just about every character who does die was someone who had a lack of respect for Mother Nature and or tried to abuse the system in some way. Like Nedry, who tried to steal embryos and treated the dinosaur he came across like some stupid dog. And Gennaro, the lawyer, who just wanted to make money off of the island.
What, we'll have a coupon day or something.
And abandoned the kids as soon as danger came. I feel like Muldoon and Arno, that was Samuel L. Jackson, were kind of borderline. Muldoon seemed to have a certain amount of respect for the dinosaurs, but he still thought he could control them.
Clever girl.
Arno just seemed pretty flippant about the whole thing, and all he cared about was getting the park to run smoothly. He is the one who is the least in the wrong, which is probably why he died off screen. Going by that logic, one has to wonder why Hammond survived at the end. Well, unlike some of his cohorts, he didn't have money or greed in mind when he had the park built. He was already a millionaire, and really he just wanted to create something wonderful to share with the world. He even specifies that it's not just for rich people, indicating that he would not have charged much for admission.
Everyone in the world has the right to enjoy these animals.
At worst, he was horribly misguided. Either that or maybe Spielberg just thought he was too lovable to kill off. Yahoo! I know I'd be extremely sad if Hammond had died. Regarding the dinosaurs, I've seen some people come down pretty hard on the scientific inaccuracies. I think it's important to remember that our knowledge of dinosaurs is something that is ever-changing, since some things we know about them now we didn't know 22 years ago. And some of the stuff we think we know now might turn out to be wrong, or at least we'll find a reason to start questioning it. I think it's important to remember that this is the movie to portray dinosaurs in the most realistic fashion so far. Before Jurassic Park, dinosaurs were depicted as slow-moving, giant, dim-witted lizards, probably partly due to technological limitations. I mean, I think Ray Harryhausen did a fantastic job with stop-motion animation, but there's only so much one can do with that, especially considering the lack of information about dinosaurs that was available at the time. We now know that dinosaurs were warm-blooded, and some were bird-like and could move pretty fast, and some were fairly intelligent. Also, this is a movie, not a documentary. Some changes were made just to make things more interesting. Velociraptor was more the size of a medium-sized dog, and they sized it up for the movie. Really, they should have changed its name to Deinonychus, since that's the actual dinosaur it really looks like, but I guess Velociraptor has a better ring to it, plus they probably wanted to keep the name accurate to the book. Also, while the smaller, faster dinosaurs were supposed to have large brains and therefore were fairly intelligent, I don't know about them having simian intelligence and figuring out how to open doors. Again though, it's a movie. It's set out to make us rethink our preconceptions about dinosaurs, and even if they exaggerated a bit in some regards, I think they reached that goal. In the case of Dilophosaurus, this one they actually sized down, ironically so it wouldn't be confused with Velociraptor, though it could be said that the one that attacked Nedry wasn't fully grown. As for the frill on its neck, it has been suggested that the crests on its skull could have supported something like that. As for the poison spitting, they basically admit that they just added it, with how the narrator mentions that it was something they didn't know about beforehand.
We now know Dilophosaurus is actually poisonous.
The only thing that bothers me is how the idea of the spitter made its way into public consciousness for a while, and people took that at face value and assumed that was something Dilophosaurus actually did. I mean, sure, Dilophosaurus could have spit venom, but there is nothing to back that up. To be clear though, I'm not blaming Jurassic Park for that, since they do cover their asses on the spitting thing, if subtly. It's not their fault that people didn't pay attention. But other than that, I think the dinosaurs are pretty accurate. I have read that Tyrannosaurus could not run 60 miles per hour because it put too much stress on its hollow bones. I don't know if that's true, but to be fair, she doesn't keep the speed up for very long in the movie. I think that complaint, along with most others, are kind of petty. Again, it's a movie, not a documentary. And it's still the most accurate interpretation of dinosaurs out there, and even if it wasn't, it still does a fantastic job of making you believe that these creatures are living and breathing. My mom and I used to joke that there were no special effects. They really did bring dinosaurs back to life and just trained them. It's hard to believe that CG was in its infancy when this movie was being made. Not to mention that, while this movie is known for its fantastic CGI, a lot of it was done with animatronics and guys in suits. Here's a fun fact. Originally, the dinosaurs were going to be done with stop-motion, Harryhausen style. In fact, Phil Tippett had already done animatics that way and was already making all these models for it. When Spielberg switched to CGI, from Industrial Light and Magic and animatronics from Stan Winston. Meanwhile, Phil Tippett made this comment.
He said, "I think I'm extinct." And I actually used Phil's line in the movie. Gave it to Malcolm to say to Grant when they were walking up the stairs.
We're out of a job. Don't you mean extinct?
That's what Phil said to me, so I kind of rubbed it in by using it in the film itself.
Don't feel too bad for him, though. Since he already had all this knowledge about how dinosaurs acted and moved, he was basically put in charge of the dinosaur scenes and made sure everything looked right.
He became basically a paleontologist, and he became the Alan Grant of ILM.
Okay, I'm still not done. In part 3, I'm going to talk about the sequels, so come back for that.